Well, more than 40 years ago, a government official named Daniel Patrick Moynihan warned that African-American families were falling apart. In 1965, 1/4 of black children were born out of wedlock. Today, it's more than 2/3. But some African-American leaders are working hard to reestablish the black family. Here's reporter John Jessup.
Washington, Maryland, D.C., and Virginia.
For Joel and Ylawnda Peebles, it's hard enough to keep up with their own busy schedules, not to mention their 4 active children. Oldest Joel Jr. is a power forward on the basketball team, and daughter Janae stomps on the sidelines with the cheer squad. Their other boys, Jordan and Jeremiah, are always nearby. And the amazing thing, the parents say they never miss one of the kids' events.
For us, family's always first. Always.
Joel and Ylawnda serve as pastors at Jericho City of Praise, a large black church in suburban Washington, D.C. They also host a weekly radio program on marriage and relationship. But for the Peebles, the #1 priority is parenting. To them, putting family first means praying together, spending time with one another, and even trying to sit down for the occasional family meal.
Sometimes we make it 7 days a week with our busy schedule in the midst of everything to make sure that we have dinner together with our whole family.
Even if we have to eat in the car.
That's right. Even if we have to eat.
Research shows that children living with both their mothers and fathers tend to be healthier emotionally and physically. But ministering to a predominantly African-American congregation, Joel and Ylawnda know they don't represent today's typical black family. Peebles says that's because young people don't have enough positive role models, particularly when it comes to black men.
There are men at basketball courts and all over the places, all over the country, that are African-American families, and they're doing an amazing job. But on the same token, there are some ones that are disconnected. And I'm going to be very honest with you, the children are struggling.
With that in mind, Peebles knows he's making a lasting impression.
One of the things I realize is that when my children grow up, my sons are going to be the kind of man that I am. And my daughter is probably going to marry the kind of man that I am. So it's that modeling is huge. It's critical in order for their maturation and for them to become what God has in store for them.
Outside of the home, Peebles spends a lot of his time ministering to men, urging them to be responsible parents, a theme echoed in the book Come On People by Bill Cosby and longtime friend and noted psychiatrist Dr. Alvin Poussant.
Which people say, what are you doing with a chapter on parenting? Because we feel that that's fundamental in building character, building a sense of self-worth in children, and a lot of parents don't know how to be good parents.
The book exploded onto the scene last fall and has been making waves since, the result of years of collaborative work that produced family-oriented programs like The Cosby Show. But Come On People became reality only after TV's favorite dad made polarizing remarks criticizing black culture for its widespread use of profanity, gangster rap, and black-on-black crime.
We've got to stop this madness.
In the book, the authors use startling statistics to drive home their point. They say about 70% of African-American babies born each year go home to single mothers. School dropout rates are skyrocketing to 50% in some cities. Homicide is the leading cause of death among young black men, and over the past several decades, the suicide rate among that demographic has increased more than 100%. So why has the once lovable comedian put aside his jokes and instead taking his message to community call-outs across the country? Poussant says for Cosby, it's personal.
You have to realize he spent a lot of his career, including The Cosby Show and a lot of other activities, supporting education, trying to set people on the right path, trying to be a role model in the shows. I think when he looked and saw the figures and just looked in his communities, and saw all of these kids not making it, and not only that, having values that were anti-education and pro-thug values, and engaging in a lot of violence and dope and so on, he just thought it was awful and felt very frustrated and a bit angry.
While some have rallied behind the message, critics have just as sharply rejected it, describing it as elitist, a slam on the poor, and doing nothing more than to essentially air the community's so-called dirty laundry. But Poussant says their goal was to elevate the community, to get people to take action, and to rise above the victim mentality.
We wanted to emphasize what people could do for themselves, We didn't deny systemic racism or institutional racism, but we felt there were a lot of areas that we had control over in the black community where we could make a difference.
For couples like the Peebles, they are making a difference in the lives of their community, but it starts at home, leaving a legacy of faith, family, and culture they believe is not only a score for today's children, but a win for the next generation and beyond. John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.